The A-League Men's 2025-26 season is upon us, so it is time to do our ladder prediction. We've been doing A-League ladder predictions here on the channel for the last few years now, but I tell you what, this season is probably my most unhinged and unexpected ladder prediction we have ever done here on the Auswatch Football YouTube channel. We'd love to hear from you guys as well. Drop your ladder predictions in the comments section and stay subscribed to Auswatch Football. We'll be doing plenty of A-League content throughout the upcoming season. Who's picking up the wooden spoon for me this season? I'm saying Adelaide United. Look, nothing against the Reds. Love watching Adelaide United. A packed out Coopers Stadium, one of the best stadiums in the A-League. A really fantastic team to watch on their day. But this season, I reckon they could struggle. Some big name departures, the likes of Archie Goodwin, Zach Clough, Stefan Moore, key personnel in their attack last season, leaving the club. So where are the goals going to come from? A lot of pressure on returning hero Craig Goodwin, who is back at the Reds yet again. Look, if Craig Goodwin stays injury-free, if he's fit and performing, he'll be one of the top players in the A-League once again, as he always is when he plays in this competition. But there's, again, so much pressure on him now to really deliver for Adelaide United. There's lots of rumblings in the media in regards to, what was happening behind the scenes at the Reds in the off-season. Calvert departing that head coach role, Ayrton Andrioli coming in. So I get the sense this maybe could be a bit of a rebuilding season for Adelaide United. Look, don't get me wrong, they do have some talented young players coming through, as always, at Adelaide United, but this could be a season where they do drop away. We remember how they really faded away towards the end of last season, just snuck into finals, but this could be a shaky season, I think, for Adelaide United. Finishing just ahead of them, but again, towards the bottom of the ladder, I try to put my bias aside when it comes to these A-League ladder predictions, but being a Central Coast Mariners fan, I still have to admit that I think Mariners might well struggle this season. Look, there's no shying away from the fact that Mariners have been poor in this transfer window. We were hoping for more. Certainly a striker. I think that was a priority for Mariners to sign a striker. We haven't done that. Look, I do like the signings of Redmayne and Donachie, two guys who have a lot of A-League experience, and they will help to really lead this young squad into this new season. And look, I am, on a positive note, I am optimistic that the likes of Hayne Eames and DeLima, Bailey Brandman, who've been breaking through the squad over the past year or so, breaking into the first 11 here, they're just going to get better and better, more game time this season. There's a huge opportunity for the young guys coming through at Central Coast Mariners, but it's going to be really tough to compete with some of the quality in the teams above us, in my ladder prediction, at least this season. So we'd love to see my Central Coast Mariners finish higher, but it might be a bit of a tough year for the Mariners. 10th place, Brisbane Roar. And I tell you what, I wanted to put the Roar higher. I really did. There really is an exciting energy around the Brisbane Roar, and enthusiasm that has maybe been lacking in recent years for the Queensland club. Pretty busy in the transfer window. I do like the signings of Houston Salas, James McGarry, of course, Jay O'Shea still there, pulling the strings in midfield. I am curious to see how new striker Chris Long goes, coming over from the UK. So it is a bit of a new look side there at Brisbane Roar. Of course, new head coach Michael Valkanis. So this feels like a fresh new start, a new era here for Brisbane Roar. I certainly could see them competing and pushing towards the top six, and very curious to see how they go in the opening couple months of the season. Can they get some positive results, build some good home form, pull some really strong crowds at home? That would be huge for Brisbane Roar. Very, very curious to see how they go early on in this campaign, but I've got them finishing in 10th for me. 9th place, and this is maybe the first hot take of this ladder prediction, Sydney FC. Would love to hear from you guys where you think Sydney will finish this season. But we have to look at the story over this past year for Sydney FC. Last season, for me, one of the all-time incredible disasters for Sydney FC to miss out on finals football with a team that had the likes of Douglas Costa, Joe Lolly, Anthony Caceres, Adrian Segacic, Patrick Klimala. It was a top-quality team that Sydney FC had assembled. I predicted them to finish first last season. They didn't even play finals football. And is this team that Sydney FC have put together for this campaign, is it as strong as last year's team? I don't know. Look, I do like the signings of Paul Okoneksler, really promising young player in defensive midfield who could have a big breakout season for the Sky Blues here in the A-League. But Marcel Tisserand's another important signing as well in defense, because that was an area of concern for Sydney last year. But I do wonder if they've just lost that quality that they had last year, which, again, incredibly still wasn't enough for them to make finals. So I don't know, man. Sydney FC. I mean, so much pressure on Ufuk Talay, the head coach, as well. He needs to get results, considering the fact that they missed out on finals last year. Club like Sydney FC cannot accept to miss out on finals football, especially 2 years in a row. So there is immense pressure on Ufuk Talay, even in the opening rounds of the season. Sydney FC simply have to perform, a club of this size. But I don't know, man. I'm not. I'm a little bit worried about them. I think they do slip out once again. 9th place for me at this stage. 8th place, I've got Wellington Phoenix. I think it might be a bit of a steady season for Wellington. Look, we think about where they've been over the last couple of years, sort of, up and down. We think back to a couple of years ago. They were in the top 2, almost in the A-League Men's Grand Final. But of course, last year, Auckland FC coming in, their new rivals, and Auckland FC were really running the show last year. Wellington Phoenix, can they bounce back and really compete with Auckland? Because, I mean, that has to really give them a lot of motivation here to really push up the ladder. They must really hate seeing the new New Zealand team here in Auckland FC doing so well and getting some big results against Wellington in these derbies. Auckland putting 6 past Wellington. Phoenix cannot accept that. So they have to bounce back. They have to improve. I don't think they've done enough in the transfer window. Afinia is as a new striker coming in. He could be, sort of an exciting player going forward for Wellington Phoenix. But we know they've lost, Scott Wood and Sam Sutton, and of course Costa Barbarouses. So a lot of these guys who featured in that successful season a couple of years back for Phoenix have now departed. So bit of a new look Wellington Phoenix side almost going forward into this season. I think they have a pretty solid campaign in the end. I think 8th place. And then just missing out on finals, Newcastle Jets. I think we will see an improvement in the A-League for Newcastle Jets. And the big question is, can the Australia Cup winners convert their success in the Cup into A-League success? It's been a long time since Newcastle Jets have played A-League finals football. Can they do it? I think they'll come close. I think they will. We're all excited about this really, exciting young contingent coming through at Newcastle Jets. We saw in that Cup final, Oscar Freire scoring a stunning goal. The likes of Alex Nunes, Will Dobson coming through as well. And of course, the new signings of Alex Badalato and Max Burgess. They will be so important for Newcastle Jets this season. And they've still got the likes of Kota Mizunuma, Eli Adams there. So there are the ingredients for a really exciting team. But defensively, can they stay solid throughout the whole season? Because that's something that has let Newcastle Jets down season after season. They have looked promising in attack, but defensively, they can be a bit leaky. So they've done it in the Cup over the course of 5 games. Incredible start for Mark Milligan. Can they do it over 20-plus games in an A-League season? Big task coming up for Newcastle Jets. Look, I think they will be good this season. I don't know if they've got enough to crack finals in the end over the regular season. But let's talk about these top 6 teams now. Who will be playing finals in 2025-26? The first team in there for me is Melbourne City at the bottom end of the top 6, which is maybe a bit of a surprise. But I think a big factor to this is the fact that they are juggling Asian Champions League elite football as well. Of course, as we know, in the ACL Elite now, you're playing 8 games in the league phase alone. They've already played 2 of those, but they in attack, they did look quite poor going forward. Melbourne City, they didn't really have much going forward, and we know they've lost the likes of Marco Tilio, Jonathan Cohen, who were both good last year for City. Elbasan Rashani and Takeshi Kanamori coming in. A lot of pressure on these guys to perform in attacking positions for Melbourne City. And they've promoted a lot of young guys, from their own academy. And looking at the squad depth, I just wonder, are they lacking a little bit of experience this year? I still think they'll be a good side, Melbourne City, a difficult team to beat. But they may well slip down a little bit. And, of course, the reigning A-League champions, I mean, they'll be eager to back it up once again. They demand success as well at Melbourne City. But I do think they slipped down a little bit, maybe juggling that focus on the Asian Champions League Elite as well, a competition where, they're featured a few times now in the Champions League Elite, yet to make it into the knockout phase. So that I feel like is a real priority this year for Melbourne City. Finishing just ahead of them, though, and again, this is maybe a hot take in this ladder prediction, Perth Glory. I think they'll play finals football this year because they have to. Because the squad that they have assembled needs to be playing finals football. If that's this contingent of players is at any other club, you would say that's a finals team. They've made some incredible signings, the likes of Brian Kaltak coming in, Scott Wootton, Sam Sutton. Great late signing of Tom Lawrence, who just arrived, in the past few days. So they've got a team there with the likes of Adam Taggart, who's already, who's still at the club as well. Experience with the likes of Josh Risdon and Brandon O'Neill. Reece Bozanowski's a great signing from Western United. Mark Birigitti's back. There's so much to talk about with Perth Glory. But they do this every year where they go through a lot of recruitment, a lot of outs, a lot of ins. David Zrilic, we know Perth Glory, they did struggle last season. Can head coach David Zrilic really pull these players together, get them gelling early on, get some results, maybe build some really strong home form? Perth Glory, I think they've got the squad to do it. You look at this team and surely this is the year where they rise up. I'd be very surprised if they finish towards the bottom once again. So I'm expecting a big bounce back here from Perth Glory. 4th place, Melbourne Victory. And I'll tell you what, if I was doing this prediction maybe, 2 months ago, I probably would have had Melbourne Victory outside the top 6. I think you look at those departures, Arzani, Teague, Boss, Machash, which was maybe a bit of a surprise to see Zinedine Machash depart. I was a little bit worried about Melbourne Victory, but I think they have done enough in the transfer window in the end to justify this position, not just in the top 6, but the top 4 as well, which is, you want to be in that top 4 at least. Melbourne Victory, look, they've brought in the likes of Grimaldi, of course, Juan Mata. I think he will get more game time at Melbourne Victory. You've got Danny Jonro coming in as well. Louis Dorigo, Keegan Jelicic as well. They've got great squad depth once again, Melbourne Victory, and that will help them across the league season. So I'm expecting them to be a difficult side to beat once again. Arthur Dillis leading this team for his first full season in charge of Melbourne Victory. We know he came in early on in the campaign last time around, taking over from Patrick Isnorbo, who left abruptly. So Arthur Dillis, I wonder if he's going to shape this squad in his own way here, but I think Victory should be strong once again. Top 3 sides, who will be finishing in 3rd place for me? Auckland FC. I think they will be strong once again. I think they'll be one of those top teams because you look at the players, the outfield players there, and that it's still very much the same 11. Sakai, Hall, that back four, De Vries, Pinaka, who was so good last season, Vetstrate, Gajegos, Gajomo Mai as well. So it's a really strong starting 11 that they still have there, Auckland FC. And they've strengthened by bringing in the likes of Lockie Brook, Jake Goodwood-Reich as well, who's linking up with his former Sydney FC head coach and Steve Corica. And I think the signing of Sam Cosgrove is a really good one as well. Keep an eye on Sam Cosgrove, new striker at Auckland FC. He's come over from the UK, could create a really nice partnership in the forward positions alongside Gajono May as well. The only concern is obviously the departure of Alex Paulson, who for me is one of the greatest goalkeepers we've ever seen in the A-League. It is, of course, a huge departure for Auckland FC. But aside from that, they should be strong this year, Auckland FC. I've got them in 3rd place, top 2. We've got some interesting teams left over. Let's jump into it. MacArthur FC in 2nd place. I think the Bulls will be a really formidable team this year. I've been really impressed with their transfer business. Look, some key departures with the likes of Keely Adamson and Marin Yakulic departing, but Ji Dongwan, a player with immense experience across the world. Shimei Gerjan coming in, Anthony Caceres from rivals Sydney FC, Damien De Silva, a top quality centre-back who was at Melbourne Victory a couple seasons ago. They have assembled a team who, again, sort of similar to Perth Glory, bringing in a lot of quality players to really strengthen the starting 11. Yes, they are, just like Melbourne City, juggling Asian Champions League football. They've got the ACL 2, a couple less games in that competition, of course, just the 6 group stage games for MacArthur FC. But if I had to compare the depths of MacArthur and Melbourne City, I think MacArthur FC's depth is looking a lot stronger right now compared to Melbourne City. I think Melbourne City relying on a lot of their younger players, whereas MacArthur FC, a lot of experience in that squad. So I think they're capable of handling both the Asian Champions League 2 and the A-League. And I think it'll see them finish in top 2. I think it's a huge, huge season coming up here for Milos Jajovski and MacArthur FC. And that means finishing in the premiership spot here for me and claiming Asian Champions League elite football for the following campaign is Western Sydney Wanderers. What do you guys make of that? Wanderers, I think they are set for a phenomenal campaign. They were very, very good last season, and we think to the back end of last campaign, they had that fantastic undefeated run. Obviously, it was a really disappointing way. It ended in finals. They're losing at home in that elimination final to Victory. Have lost Nicholas Milanovic and some other key players, but The ins have been really, really impressive and smart moves as well. I mean, Angus Thurgate, what a signing, one of the top midfielders in the competition over from Western United, bringing in Costa Barbarouses and Alec Kowal to strengthen the forward positions as well. And the other, I mean, you just look at it, midfield alone, we've mentioned Thurgate, but bringing in Ugarkovic, and they've still got Brillante there and Shikluna coming back from injury as well. Centre-back positions, you've got that centre-back partnership of Bonatig and Pantanzopoulos, one of the best goalkeepers in Lawrence Thomas. I think this is a Wanderers side who, throughout this regular season, could be really difficult to beat and could be set for a massive campaign. I have a lot of expectations of this Wanderers squad, and I think Alen Stajcic is a good coach. I think he can lead the Wanderers to success and back to silverware. So there's my ladder prediction for 2025-26. What do you guys make of it? And drop yours in the comment section. And again, make sure you're subscribed here to Ozwatch Football. We'll be doing plenty of A-League content over the coming season. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Hit the like button on the way out. My name's Lockie. I'll see you in the next one.